Biden and the DNC, because they're running the exact same strategy as Hillary Clinton's failure, they have raised the mandate for their campaign fundraisers. Campaign fundraisers are called bundlers. Now, each one of them, many of them, Wall Street hedge fund people, Wall Street bankers, is calling on its top fundraisers to start pulling in over $2 million. They have to raise over $2 million for Biden. Biden's team and DNC officials told fundraisers that the new tiers for raising money starts at $1 million and go up to $2.5 million. The funds would go to Biden and the DNC's joint fundraising group. The move represents a massive jump in fundraising objectives for Biden's top donors. Recently, they were asked to raise up to $500,000. So let me explain how this works. Biden's donors, a lot of them who are donating directly to Biden, are also raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for Biden. And in every campaign, if the candidate wins, the candidate then thanks those donors by choosing them as ambassadors to countries those donors have never been to, by choosing their spouses for positions in the administration. It's one big corrupt auction. You raise the money for me now. If I'm Joe Biden, you raise the money for me now. You'll be taken care of. Your spouse will be taken care of. And whatever pet project you want me to give money to, we'll give money to in the administration. It's one big legalized auction. You want to know who some of these donors are that are also raising money for Joe Biden? I did a bit of a deep dive into this. We published it at the website today. You literally have 30 million people have lost their health insurance from their employers. You know, that Pete Buttigieg said, oh, Bernie Sanders wants to rip health care away from Americans. They want to rip private health care away from the American people. People love their private health care. People love paying copays and deductibles and high premiums. So I looked into, why is it that Biden isn't budging at all? He won't budge at all, even during a massive pandemic, which, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, already, almost 28 million people have lost their health insurance through their employer. When you add that with the amount of people who are already uninsured, 55 million people in America without health insurance, and we're the greatest country in the world. 55 million. Now, when you add in the people that have lost their wonderful, so holy private health care from their employers. And by the way, estimates say we might go up as high as 40 to 50 million losing their health insurance because of this corona economic depression. So Joe Biden's response to this has been, there's a thing called COBRA, Biden told Lawrence O'Donnell on his show last week, echoing Nancy Pelosi's ridiculous position on this. Want to make sure I'm not missing anybody here. Okay. So I took a deep dive here. Why is it that Biden won't move at all, especially during a global pandemic that's millions of people, tens of millions of people losing their health insurance? Well, as whistleblower, former private healthcare executive Wendell Potter told me, I think everyone should essentially, Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer know that the healthcare special interests can plow millions of dollars into the campaigns of candidates they favor or think they can influence. Because we have no real constraints on that spending, the special interests, as always, are contributing to candidates in both parties, and Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer, and others who raise money for themselves and other Dems want to keep as much of it flowing to Dems as possible. Persuading politicians to believe that has been an ongoing propaganda campaign that started while I was still leading public relations for Cigna. One of the reasons I quit was because I knew requiring patients to pay thousands of dollars out of their own pockets would be Good for insurance companies and their shareholders, but financially devastating for millions of Americans. That was Wendell Potter. So I looked through who are the healthcare donors giving Joe Biden massive money right now for his campaign. Well, let's start with hedge fund billionaire Jim Simons. He heads Renaissance Technologies, and he's poured in $3 million in March to pro-Biden super PAC Unite the Country. This was, by the way, that $3 million he gave in March was at the same time the corporate media and the establishment was lining up in force against Bernie Sanders. Simmons also donated the maximum amount of $2,800 to Biden's campaign committee, while his company, through their corporate PAC and individual employees, they donated $2.3 million to Biden. So between Jim Simons, who is the founder of Renaissance Technologies, given $3 million, and his company, the employees at his company, given $2.3 million, that's over $5 million bucks Joe Biden is getting from Jim Simon and Renaissance Technologies. Well, you think a massive hedge fund guy who is also invested in private healthcare, you think he wants Joe Biden to expand government healthcare? Simon's big money support for Biden comes as his hedge fund recently increased its investments in 3 big healthcare stocks, like big pharma giant Merck and company. Needless to say, Simons and Wall Streeters like him are not flooding Biden with cash in order for government to weaken or eliminate the private healthcare industry. Beyond his healthcare ties, Biden's campaign has accepted Simon's support. This is the best part. Despite him being implicated in the 2017 Paradise Papers, you remember the Panama Papers, then came the Paradise Papers, for sheltering nearly $8 billion in a private wealth fund in Bermuda, which does not tax profits or income. So this guy and his company are giving Joe Biden $5 million. $5 million. And this guy sheltered $8 billion of money so that it would not be taxed by the U.S. government, your money, in Bermuda. Was anything done about that? Were these criminals actually it's legal, so they're not criminals, but sheltering billions and billions of dollars in Bermuda and Panama and the Caribbean? Were these people reprimanded? No. Were these people prosecuted? No. You want to know what they got? They get to host massive fundraisers for Joe Biden. And they get to then, if Biden gets elected, pull the strings on the next president of the United States so that they could offshore more of our money to the Panama region, or Bermuda in this case. You just can't make this up. And by the way, just to be clear, it's not like Republicans don't have these sleazy donors either, but Joe Biden is the one pushing task forces as a gift to progressives. And we're going to take bold action. Did you see that New York Times piece that made it seem like Biden might be the next FDR? He's really seeing the moment here. He's seeing the crisis. What a joke. He's got a guy and his company giving him $5 million. And this guy has been legally allowed to basically hide $8 billion in Bermuda. Oh, but it gets better. It gets better. Simons is no stranger to Obama-Biden world. He donated $5 million to pro-Obama Priorities USA super PAC in the lead up to Obama's 2012 election. In 2014, Simons and his wife, Marilyn, donated $340,000 to the Obama Foundation, so that's Obama's private foundation, and were one of several top donors to attend a private dinner in 2015 with President Obama. Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who's now revealing himself to be a lunatic, well, I think he already was a lunatic, and former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, who New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has announced he is offshoring New York's economic recovery to Eric Schmidt. A year later, Simons donated another $330,000 to the Obama Foundation. And Obama, for all those foundations, for all that money that Obama got to the foundation, he didn't lay a damn glove on people like James Simons on Wall Street. Another healthcare heavyweight supporting Biden's campaign and super PACs is Joe Kiani. So, who is Joe Kiani? And by the way, I hope this isn't dry to you, but I think it's important to actually do the research, do the investigating, and name names of who is purchasing our politicians. Who is purchasing our politicians? It's people like Joe Kiani. Joe Kiani runs a massive medical technology company, Massimo. Joe Kiani has donated over $1 million to Biden's campaign and super PAC, according to the Revolving Door Project. In 2012, Kiani gave $35,800 to the Obama Victory Fund. Around the same time, he and other industry leaders were lobbying Obama's White House to repeal the 2.3% medical device sales tax that was part of Obamacare. If you remember, that was kind of controversial. A lot of healthcare companies didn't like this 2.3% tax that was part of Obamacare on medical devices, primarily medical devices in hospitals. And people like Kiani were pouring money into Biden's campaign, Obama's presidency and re-election, while they were lobbying Obama's officials to repeal that onerous 2.3% medical device sales tax. Kiani's lobbying paid off in early 2016 when the medical device tax was suspended by Obama. A year after Obama suspended the medical device sales tax, guess how much Kiani donated to the Obama Foundation. A year after President Obama, in 2016, his last year in office, a year after Obama suspended the medical device tax, which Trump permanently repealed, all of a sudden Kiani donates, we don't have the exact number, but it was reported between $500,000 and $750,000 to the Obama Foundation. Anat, my lovely girlfriend, what do you call that in other countries when a politician does X for a donor or a, let's say, benefactor, and a year later, that benefactor in return gives them $500,000 to $750,000? What would you call that?
You call it many things.
What would you call it? First thing that comes to mind.
It's
Dirty? I'd call that a bribe. That is a bribe. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.